Hi, this is the Buteo lie-down hide. They call it the Falco Hide. I'm not sure whether this is a Mark 1 or a Mark 2. I've had it some time, so it's probably a Mark 1. They're on the Mark 3 now. They're at the British Birdwatching Fair, the Global Bird Fair at Rutland this year, and I looked at the Mark 3s of their single person hide, the normal height hide and the double hide, and I could see the improvements. I didn't look at the lie-down hide, but presumably the Mark 3 has got a few extra features on it too. It's not quite as quick as the single person hide to put up, which just pops up instantly, but for a lie down hide it is very quick. You only need 4 tent pegs, 2 at the front and 2 at the back, and that pulls it taut, and as it goes taut it comes up. You can then put an additional 6 tent pegs in if it's a windy day or you're leaving it for a few days, and then there's guy ropes as well, but you only need 4 just to get it upright like this. So that's very quick. I do have my own lie down hide that I designed. It takes 10-15 minutes to put it up, so this is a lot easier, a lot quicker. You can get into it from the front or the back, so normally I'll be setting my camera equipment up here at this end and then getting in from the back, and sometimes when it's muddy like this I'll leave my feet sticking out the back because my Wellingtons are covered in mud and don't want it coming inside the hide. It is long enough for me to get inside, and I'm 6'2" if I want to. If it's not a muddy situation, I can take my shoes off, then you can get in it. And we've got the usual apertures and viewing holes here to see what's going on. A bedroll, absolutely essential. If you're going to lie down in here for a couple of hours, you need a bedroll. Now you're going to be lying down in that hide for a couple of hours, which is very uncomfortable, and you've got to have some means of supporting the camera. Now I could use a tripod. This tripod will go down to ground level, the legs will come out sideways, but the center column is too long. So you have to swap the center column. You just pull this one out and replace it with a short stubby center column. It's just got the disadvantage that it takes a little time to do, and you've always got the problem of where is that? Are you going to lose it? So far I haven't. It's been in my camera bag for some 6 months, more than that now. I used to have a Velbin tripod. Now that was stolen when my car was stolen. I lost that and I've not been able to find a replacement. They don't seem to make them quite the same anymore, but the advantage of the Velbin was the center column unscrewed just below the tripod head. So you simply unscrewed it and then you already got the short stubby center column in place, and when you finished you just screwed it back in again. I think that's far better than having a separate one that can get lost. But anyway, I'm not going to use a tripod today. I'm just going to use a beanbag. It's quite a long walk into here, and this is my 5th session now. So what I've done is I've hidden in the hedgerow back here a beanbag. That cost me nothing. I'm not going to worry if that disappeared. And also this. I don't know what you call it, but I think you put things like televisions on it so you can spin the television round. I'm not sure where I got it from, probably a car boot sale for a couple of quid many years ago. But I use that from time to time. I'll just put my beanbag on there, put the big lens on. It's a little bit noisy, but you're not moving it very fast. It's normally like that, so there's no sound from it then. And it just works. It's easier than panning on the beanbag, and you're very uncomfortable when you're in this hide. It's difficult to move your arms, so that's very easy just to spin around.
The hide comes with an extra set of poles to replace the large hooped ones. It makes it into a very small compact package. When, for instance, you're flying abroad, it will fit in your suitcase easily. It just takes a little longer to put up.
And notice I've put the hide up against this hard brush here, so it's not out in the open. If you can put your hide against something, it makes it far less noticeable to the wildlife. Again, they're going to come closer to you. And what am I trying to photograph? Anything that comes along this water's edge. Stock doves are coming down to drink, and I've done them here several times before. But in the past there's been all sorts of birds, redshanks, curlew, green sandpiper, little-winged plovers, all sorts of waders and ducks and gulls. It's just a wait and see opportunity. Unfortunately, we have a lot less birds in this country than we used to. The UK now has the lowest biodiversity of any major country in the world. So it's making wildlife photography difficult just at a time when the equipment is making life so easy. We've got less things to photograph. Now, before I get in the hide, empty your pockets. You're going to be very uncomfortable lying down there, so you don't want anything in your pockets sticking into you. And you take your coat in because you're going to put your coat underneath your chest. When you're lying on the floor, if you've got something under here, it makes a big difference to your comfort. And finally, don't forget to empty your bladder. Again, makes a big difference to your comfort. So this is what the coat's for. The coat goes underneath your chest. It helps to keep the weight off your arms. It makes you a lot more comfortable. Sometimes I'm doing this sort of thing from just lying on the floor, covering myself with scrimming. When I do that, I can lie still for about 2 hours, and that's my limit. When you're in a hide like this and you can move about, then I can stay longer, because once my back starts to ache a bit too much, I can turn over. I can lie on my back for 5 minutes, have a rest, and then come back into position, or just move onto my side for 10 minutes or so. You can even get up onto your knees and stretch your back that way. So it makes it a lot more comfortable. And there's always that tremendous advantage of being low down when you're photographing wildlife. You get a totally different picture. But also, the other great advantage of a low down hide is birds are intimidated by height. So the lower the hide, the more chance of a bird coming in front of you than from a standard sit-up hide. The lower, the better.
It's summer and birds tend to molt in the summer, so all the ducks and geese that come onto this water have left a bit of a mess behind. Hopefully I can avoid that in most of the pictures. You can see some of the feathers here around this stock dove. This is a juvenile bird, this year's bird. But I don't really want the birds drinking, I want them in flight as they take off. So here I'm using Procapture, and it's such a wonderful feature. Once you've had a camera that's got Procapture, you don't want to use a camera that doesn't have it. All the pictures are taken with the OM-1 Mk2, the 150 to 400mm lens, ISO 1600, shutter speed a minimum 2500th of a second, lens usually wide open.
Now this is my 5th session in this hide over the last 10 days, and I've not been doing very well. There's not been that many birds coming in fact it's only stock doves. But I've got flight shots of the stock doves taking off out of the water using Procapture. I've already done that. Now today I wanted to do slow motion video. But there's a problem with doing that with the OM-1 and the 150 to 400mm lens. Once you go to slow motion, you have to manually focus. The focus ring is right here at the front, and when you've been lying here for 30 minutes, your arms are getting pretty numb. And you've got to do this quickly because they don't stay to drink very long. They come down, 2 sips, they fly away, very quick. The first thing you've got to do is find them in the viewfinder, and that can be awkward. Takes half a second anyway. Then you've got to zoom because you don't know where they're going to be along the length of this water. They're sometimes very close and other times distance. Finally, you've got to focus and you've got to stretch right forward to do that. When your arms are numb, it's difficult, and I've not really been doing it quickly enough. So I'm going to show you a workaround as to how you can autofocus in some situations when you're doing slow motion video, but I'm not going to do it here because it's too uncomfortable.
I've mentioned many times before that I make good use of the custom settings C1 to C4 for stills photography. Unfortunately, when you put the camera into video mode, you cannot save custom settings. I don't know why that is, it's a great pity, but there is a sort of a workaround for it. Let's go to C2, which is my bird on a stick settings. In there, I've got the video settings. You see, this is C2 pointing to at the moment. Up in the top right hand corner, we've got 4K 60 frames per second set up, and I've saved that as C2. Whenever I press the record button, it will record 4K 60 frames per second. Change to C1, and under there I've got the video settings. See, we're highlighting C1 at the moment, top right hand corner. I've actually shooting there at HD 240 frames per second. Unfortunately, it's not showing that because I've got this recorder plugged into the HDMI socket. But if I come down into the video settings, you'll see that at the moment you cannot shoot at 240 frames per second. It's grayed out. If I wasn't recording this screen, then up the top here it would be showing HD 240 frames per second. And when I press the red video button, it will record at 240 frames per second. More importantly, I'm actually in stills mode, so when I half depress the shutter release button, it will autofocus. So it will focus on that stock dove. Once you press the red record button, it won't follow focus, but at least the bird is in focus at the start. And if it doesn't move from its spot when it launches into flight, you'll have a sharp image without having to manually focus. Thanks for watching.